Well, we are talking about Messi and Ronaldo for this reason. Ronaldo obviously couldn't help get Man United qualified for this season's Champions League. Erik Ten Hag decided to let him go. They've now qualified for the Champions League without Ronaldo. Messi played in 3 Champions League winning Barcelona teams, but he couldn't get over the line with Paris Saint-Germain. Ronaldo won it 5 times, 4 with Real Madrid, once with Man United, and it now looks likely Messi and Ronaldo have played their last ever Champions League games, with Messi moving to Inter Miami this week. And it kind of struck me that this is the end of an era. Unless something spectacular happens. I don't know, Ronaldo moves to Newcastle or something. Is that going to happen?
I wouldn't have thought so.
Right, okay. So we're thinking that's the end. But what an era in the Champions League Messi and Ronaldo have given us, Stuart.
I went to watch my son many years ago over the park, and this was a park in Wiltshire. You know, there's about 12 kids there, and a couple of them have got English teams on their back shirts and whatever. And there was about 3 kids with Messi shirts, a couple with Ronaldo shirts, and you think, look at the impact that these two have had. This is just a park pitch over in Wiltshire, young kids, and they're wearing the shirts of these 2 icons. I think they've been so fortunate in this era, the last couple of decades, have been so fortunate to have icons of their magnitude that are so easy on the eye to watch. Brilliant players, brilliant goal scorers, and great professionals.
Do you know what? They remind me of tennis a little bit. If you look at the era of domination that we have with Federer and with Djokovic and with Nadal, not Andy Murray really, but those 3, arguably the 3 greatest players ever to have played the sport. And you wonder who's going to come through and take their crown. In tennis, we haven't had the answer to that question as yet. Nobody's really been able to do that. Djokovic has just got, I think, into another French Open final today. In football, we're looking at Kylian Mbappe, and I think he has the ability to fill those shoes. Still, for me, hasn't quite done it yet. Is that fair to say?
I would say so, yeah.
So I think when you talk about global sporting superstars and people who transcend their sport, Ronaldo and Messi have both done that.
They have. Do you see? So when you talked about the tennis thing, and Andy Murray isn't quite there, and I think most people would agree with you, he did incredibly well to win slams in his in the era he was playing. However, who would be the equivalent of Andy Murray? Is that Zlatan, for example?
Lewandowski, maybe?
Lewandowski, yeah, and still
De Bruyne?
going. Kevin De Bruyne is a shout as well, yeah. But they've set a standard that very few found easy to live with. But by the end of his career at Paris, Lionel Messi is getting booed by the PSG fans, because the thing with Paris Saint-Germain, you go there as a manager or as a player. If you're an elite player, you go there solely with the task of winning the Champions League, and it just hasn't happened for him, has it?
No, it hasn't. I think there's been such a clutch of superstars there that a team's not been moulded out of that clutch, and that's probably been their biggest problem. And listen, we're about to go into a major Champions League final tomorrow, and Manchester City have not won a Champions League either, by the way, so it's not easy to do, so we can't lose track of that.
And Fergie only won 2 in all the years he was at Manchester. I say only won 2.
Frustrated him.
It absolutely, and I think he would, in a private moment, might say I probably should have won more, but that shows how difficult it is. I think Pep was talking recently about how Bayern Munich, they won loads in the 70s, and then it took them ages to win another couple. And Inter Milan won 2 back-to-back in the 60s, then didn't win another one until Jose Mourinho came along with the treble. So it is really difficult to do, and I think those that sometimes it gets levelled at Pep. Oh, you can only do it with Messi in your side, or you can only do it with Barcelona. But it's just really difficult to win, and sometimes there's all sorts of factors that you can't really control that allow or lead to a team winning a match, and it's a Champions League final.
The turning points in these campaigns, they're so long, these campaigns. They're a whole season, they start whenever they do. It's intense before Christmas, and then the business end of the competition starts, and then here we are in June waiting for a final, So there are so many variables, and maybe even on Manchester City's route to the final, if they hadn't found this formula over recent times of Stones stepping in and Bernardo Silva playing on that width a little bit, and 1 or 2 of their players just hitting the form at the right time, maybe they won't be in the final.
Potentially true. What they leave is Ronaldo and Messi, an incredible Champions League legacy of goals, the 2 top scorers in Champions League history, 140 Champions League goals in 183 games for Ronaldo, 129 in 163 games for Messi. Next best is 91. Lewandowski could add to that still. And I did ask earlier, the 3 Englishmen who are the top 3 Englishmen to score Champions League or European Cup goals. Do either of you know any names you want to throw into the mix for 1, 2,
Andy
and 3?
Cole.
Andy Cole is not in there.
I was going to chuck out Roger Hunt.
Roger Hunt is not in there either. Remember back in those days, though, only the champions went in.
Yeah.
So they're less likely to get that number of goals.
We going back to pre-era.
Absolutely, yeah.
What about Beckham?
Beckham's not in there, no.
Crikey, I'm struggling.
He might be in there for assists. Come on, one's really obvious. All sorts of records broken by him. Come on.
Kane.
No. How often do Spurs get in the Champions League?
That's a good point. Yeah, what a ridiculous answer that is.
And do you want a fascinating fact about this season's Champions
Is this
League?
just champions when it was only champions that got in there? Is that
It's
what you're
European
talking
Cup
about?
era and,
Dalglish.
Champions League era. So it's
okay.
And you said English, didn't you? Not British.
English, yeah.
English.
Fascinating fact about this season's Champions League. Richarlison scored more Champions League goals this season than Kane. Anyway, we'll move on. Who are these top 3 Englishmen? Is anybody going to help me out here? Anybody?
I'm waiting for the producer to tell me in my ear because I'm dying on a hill here.
He's going through all the goals scored by his Arsenal team. There's none of them in there. Right, the number 1.
Go on.
With 30 goals.
30.
Wayne Rooney.
I should have got that.
Yeah, he should have got that one.
I should have got that.
Second with 27 goals. Might surprise you, actually. Raheem Sterling.
Really?
I think it's pretty impressive.
Wow.
And third with 24 is Paul Scholes. Paul Scholes scores goals.
So I went Beckham, not Scholes.
Yeah.
That did surprise me a little. Beckham set them all up.
Yeah, we were rubbish there, Stuart. I've got to say.
No, worse than that. Dear, oh dear.
I might find you another little teaser so you can redeem yourselves.
Will it be easier?
No, probably won't, to be honest with you. Interesting. But listen, it's the end of an era. Ronaldo and Messi have been superb in the Champions League, so we thought we would just tip our hat to the pair of them for the entertainment and the records they've broken and their contribution to Champions League football over the last 15 years or so. And who knows, maybe Newcastle will sign Ronaldo. Maybe Arsenal will sign Messi, and they'll contribute more Champions League goals in the future. We shall see.